Okay, Hajia, you're welcome to the studio.
Call me Naja'atu, please.
Naja'atu?
Naja'atu is my name.
Naja'atu, all right. You're welcome to the studio. Okay, so let's hear from you. You listen the beats to what our paper reviewers talked about you, about being consistent, and I want to say congratulations, Nigerians who don't even know you are speaking up for you. But first, let's hear from you. Why did you resign from the APC PCC?
I want to take you first to how I even went into the campaign team.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I was on board a flight, and there was a delay. I opened my phone, and there came a call. Somebody that I never knew. He said his name is Faleke, and that he's working for Tinubu. That he wants me to be a director in the civil society organization. And I told him point blank that I don't want to be part of it. Then he started to plead with me to please accept it. I said, no, I don't want to accept it because I've never sat with Tinubu to tell me what he has for us in the country general, and particularly the North. He said, please, madam. He started to beg me. I said, don't embarrass me because I don't want to be arrogant. When people start to say, in the name of God, do this, then you feel bad to say no. So I gave him a condition. He said the names will be out the next day, and he wants my name to be out as the director. I said, no, I can't accept that. Then after all the plea, I said, okay, let me meet you halfway. If I sit with Asiwaju and I'm not comfortable with what he says he has for the North, then I have a right to opt out. And Faleke said, yes, it's okay. So if you notice, when the names came out, it's the only directorate, which there were two directors, was the directorate they put me, the civil service, the civil the civil society organizations. There were two. I was made a co-director. That night, I got around 11 p.m., I started to get phone calls. Normally, I don't pick my calls at night. But then I saw a message saying that Asiwaju wants to talk to you around 11 p.m. So I gave them a reply. I'm waiting. Immediately they saw my text, they called me back. And Asiwaju called me. He says, Hajia, I said, sir. He said, I respect your stance on not accepting the appointment. I said, yes, sir. Because I can't be a zombie. I just can't follow you because you said I should follow you. Let me know what you have for us up north. Because if I made a mistake on Buhari, with you, the truth is written on the horizon. So I have to know what you have for us. He said he's in London, that if I can, I should go over. He offered to buy me a ticket. I said, no, sir, I can afford a ticket. And then he said, can I get a hotel for you? I said, yes, that I will appreciate. I took the next Lufthansa to London. I saw him that same night, and we sat. And I said, sir, the reason why I'm not accepting your appointment is because I don't know what you have for us up north. Because in the north, every single person is either waiting to be killed or kidnapped. We can't go on like this. What is your blueprint for us? He told me that he doesn't have anything for us. I said, you mean, sir, you don't have a blueprint? He said, I can't have a blueprint because if I have a blueprint, I'll be stepping on too many toes and they might even kill me. This was what he said. I said, but sir, how can you rule without a blueprint? He said, I will only make a blueprint after winning the elections. I said, there will be a lot of distractions after winning the elections. You have to keep your eyes on the ball. He said, well, you know what? If you have anything you want me to put in my manifesto, then please bring it. I told him that I have an elders. We have a network for national salvation. I have our elder. I'll go meet him in Paris the next day. The next day, I left for Paris. I didn't get to see him, but we came back to London. We sat, and we already had a template. So he gave me something, we took something about the Almajiri, because the Almajiri is really a menace to us up north. They have been used as cannon fodder. And when you have able-bodied men that are doing nothing, in their millions, you will always get a problem. I told him about that. I wrote about that. I wrote about agriculture. I wrote about security and so many other things. Till date, I have not been allowed to see Asuwaju, to even give it to him. Then I called one of his hangers-on, Ibrahim Masari. Ibrahim Masari, I called him. I said, look, I have this template. What happens? I need to see Asuwaju to give this to him. He said, well, sorry, I'm sorry, Hajia, you are late because the manifesto has already been completed. Nasir El-Rufai has given us what the North needs, and according to him, all the North needs is state police. I know Nasir is a very brilliant and patriotic person. There is no way that anyone can tell me that Nasir will do such a thing, Nasir El-Rufai. But in any case, I was still being patient. Then we started at the campaign council. We've never been invited for any meeting. We've never been invited for any rally. And I have transcended, going to show my face. I can't. We have an appointment with destiny. We have an appointment with prosperity. I can't be condescending. I tried to be patient. In fact, I wrote my letter of resignation over a month ago. But for somebody that I still have so much respect for, that I went to tell him that, look, I'm resigning from the APC. He said, why? Because I said, one, after having sat with Asuwaju told me that he doesn't have an agenda or a blueprint for any of our problems. He told me this. And then secondly, I have also tried for 3 months to get our northern elders, opinion molders that are in the APC, to come together and go en bloc to Asuwaju to put our requests. I saw the Lagos Chamber of Commerce giving him their requests. But these our northern elders in the APC, for 3 months I was shuttling from one person to the other for us to even sit and come up with an agenda for the North. They refused to sit. So it's like in the APC, it's each to himself. It's each. What do I get? I have never in my life done anything for money. I'm a businesswoman. I don't do politics for the sake of politics or to get anything. I was born into a political family. My father was Nepu. My husband was killed, assassinated. I have seen so much because of his views. I have been poisoned. I was 7 months in Germany. I had to have a reconstruction of my colon. I went to prison twice because of what I believe. I can't waste my time here. And I then tried to sit with other presidential candidates. There are 4 main presidential candidates. With Mr. Obi, we kept missing each other. I had spoken to him through my mentor, in Lagos. She might not want me to mention her name. But we kept missing each other for one reason or the other. So I never got to sit with him. And time was in the essence. As for Kwankwaso is not only my neighbor, he's not only my brother. I don't do that for that, no. But he did a tremendous job for us in Kano, especially in terms of human development. Because you need to bring this sea of youth, this energy, out of the streets if you want to survive. But we don't have the luxury of time. He has a new party, and he cannot really go beyond a few states. He can't, because of the time and because of the structural, for some structural reasons I know. So I said to myself, if I have to choose between Tinubu and Atiku, and mark you, I have always fought people over Obi for one reason. You should not crucify a person because of his tribe. You don't choose your tribe. You don't even choose your parents. So don't crucify him because of his tribe. He is only what God has given him, just like I'm only what God has given me. However, I looked at the options in the APC. They go to rallies, and Asiwaju cannot even decipher. He cannot. When I was speaking, I sat with him for 2 hours. Most of the time he was sleeping. You ask him questions on this, and he's talking completely different from the topic that you are discussing. So how on earth, what is wrong with Nigerians? What is it that you'll benefit personally for you to sacrifice over 200 million people? And so I decided that, okay, the choice now for me is between Asiwaju and Atiku. Because both of them have the structures in their parties. And then I looked and I looked and I looked. I looked for Atiku. I said, look, what is your blueprint? I did that. I didn't just do it off head. I sat down with him. What is your blueprint on security? They gave me a whole booklet. What is your blueprint on agriculture? They gave me everything. It took me days to go through it. So I said to myself, somebody that I sat with and discussed this with, he said, look, Naja'atu, you are trying to choose between the devil and the dipsy.
You chose
I said, yes, absolutely. But I'd rather go with the dipsy. If Allah helps me, I'll be like Jonah. As Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the fish, God Almighty delivered him, he will deliver me. But there is no winning with the devil. In this case, Asiwaju is the devil. There is no winning. Because you cannot relate to a person that has lost it upstairs. If he is physically unfit and he is mentally okay, we can manage. At least you know you can hold him accountable. But in this case, you know that those hangers-on are only pushing him, knowing that he cannot do it, and they will be the beneficiaries. They will be, you know, he's just there like an idol. And you just, they will be, his wife will be doing the ruling. She will rule over the country. And the other hangers-on, they even hate Asiwaju, as far as I'm concerned. Because you cannot push somebody that is ill mentally into a position of leadership. What sort of people are we? This thing will come back and consume every single one of us.
But you also mentioned that party platforms have no ideological differences and are robes that, you know, politicians wear to serve their personal needs and interests.
Yes, ma'am.
And you would rather, you know, support an individual. But an individual is not far from being under his party, and that structure governs it.
The individual needs a party to contest the election. But I should not be tied down to the rope. I said it. Asiwaju was first AD, then he was AC, then he was ACN, now he's APC. Same with Kwankwaso. He was PDP, he came into APC, and then went back to the PDP, and then to NNPP now. The same is true with Peter Obi. The same is true with Atiku. So why should Nigerians be tied down to an illusion? Illusion is the party. It doesn't make sense. It's just a bloody logo. It's just I can decide to change my dress. That doesn't make me different. That doesn't make me a different person. So what I'm saying is this: Nigerians should stop tying themselves to parties. These politicians must be taught a lesson that if you want us to vote for you, bring a good candidate. I think Nigerians must begin to change their way of thinking. And the reason why, even I had to liberate myself. I had to liberate myself from the shackles of the rope. I had to liberate myself. That was why I took the position that I took. And then when they're saying that it's so cheap and silly, talking about, oh, I was kicked out for incompetence. At what point? And the party does not belong to Asuaji. The party is headed by Abdullahi Adamu. He is the one to expel me out of the party for anti-party. That is why I left, because I gave them the constitutional requirement of the APC. I cannot remain in the APC at this point in time and attack any of our candidates. But I said that I will support Binani, the only woman standing in APC, in fact in the whole country, as governorship candidate in Adamawa. I was with her a few weeks ago. I'll continue to go to Adamawa to support her. I have a governorship candidate in NNPP in Kanu, Abba Yusuf. I'll support him. We have different, we have three senators contested. I'm supporting 2 from the NNPP and 1 from the PDP.
So it's not about political parties now. You're supporting.
I have to free myself.
Okay, so before you were taken into or chosen as one of the campaign council members of the APC, were you a card-carrying member of the APC?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, that means that throughout the Buhari administration, you have always been an APC member. Okay, so is it just the problem of Tinubu now, or is it the problem of the party, about what Nigeria is going on? Because you talked about why you are leaving, because from developments you have seen around, Nigerians are suffering.
Yeah, it's not just about Tinubu, but it's also about the party. Quite honestly, I have to be very honest with you. Abdullahi Adamu did a great job. You know why he did a great job? Because considering the positions he held, he was a governor, he was a minister, so the governors could not push him around. I can give you the case of Kanu, for instance, in which our state governor was insisting that he controlled all the delegates, all the candidates, that all the candidates must come from his pocket. But Abdullah Adamu stood his ground. No, this so and so is, you either contest this and so contest this, or you lose it. That is a good leader. I have no problem with that. But apart from that, I had the last speakers talking about local government chairmen and their autonomy and the state assemblies. The state assemblies are just house boys. The governors determine who gets what, who is in what position. So that is why Nigerians must begin to teach those governors a lesson. That if you know he's a bad governor, stand your ground, move him out, at least teach him a lesson. Don't give him a second term. If they do that, can you imagine a whole country? And that also has to do with a very, very extremely weak president. Buhari cannot swat a fly. He cannot swat a fly. It's not as he pretends he doesn't know. He knows. When do you go pleading with governors? Obasanjo removed them. State assemblies impeached them. But you see, Buhari is such a weakling, or rather he pretends to be a weakling. Because when it serves his personal purpose, then you see him taking a position. But quite honestly, he has woefully failed this country. He has woefully failed us up north. So when Tinubu begins to say that he will continue where Buhari stops, it's crazy for anyone to even think of voting anyone at the or voting the APC. Why should we?
But the thinking, you know, in some quarters is that you were one of the strong pillars that brought even the Buhari you're criticizing down to power. So at what point did you notice that he has deviated from the plan? And what effort did you make within the party to ensure that, you know, he doesn't go against the positions? And by the way, the president is even saying that he has not disappointed anybody.
He has done marvelously well.
Well, if he hasn't disappointed anyone, then I think he's living in denial. He's living in denial because even his state now is ungovernable. Because there are local governments that are completely under the bandits. In his own state of Katsina, as we are talking today, as we are talking now, I can bet you my life that people are being killed. Villages have been wiped out. In the whole of the northwest, except for Kano and maybe parts of Jigawa, it's overrun by bandits. So how can he even talk of that? Look at the southeast. Look at the carnage in the southeast. Hasn't he failed them? Is it not his responsibility to give them that security? He has failed. Look at the economy. Look at this thing about the Naira. Over 200 million people will go out of food in the next few days. I can bet you that. Because the new note is not available. So he has taken off hundreds of years back because you have to start trading by barter. That is the only way you can survive. So he has failed. He has not failed himself because all the people around him have enriched themselves. Stupendous amount of money. People selling recharge cards are now swimming in billions. It's crazy. And he says he hasn't failed. Has he succeeded in tackling corruption? One of the reasons why we stood for Buhari, I put my life on the line for Buhari. I have 7 surgeries here. 7 surgeries because I was poisoned. I spent 7 months in Germany to have a reconstruction of my colon because of this Buhari.
So was it because you were poisoned?
Yes.
How did it happen?
Well, it happened because, to be very honest, I wouldn't want to mention names, but I was invited to the office of the DSS then, and that was where I was poisoned.
Interesting.
Yes, that was what happened. They put me, look, and let me tell you, when they say I do things, when I was one of the co-conveners of Save Nigeria, along with Pastor Tunde Bakare. I am a co-convener of Save Nigeria. Adua is my brethren, a Fulani, House of Fulani, and a Muslim. But we don't look, I had transcended that. We fought until the doctrine of necessity was put. And Jonathan tried to reward me with a ministerial appointment. I said no. I refused to accept. I said, sir, I did not do Save Nigeria to be a minister. Obasanjo made me minister twice. The first time I went, I got a standing ovation in the Senate. But then the people, my own senators from the ANPP now said, I'm from Saraki group, so they don't, because Saraki, of course, and we had a conflict within the party. So most of the senators were with the chairman then, so they rejected my name. Obasanjo called me to say, let me come into PDP so that he will make me minister as a PDP member. I said no. I don't want to leave my party. So what, it's so silly talking about me as it concerns money. So what I'm trying to tell you, in essence, is that I'm 66. I have grown in a family that has seen so much. I grew up seeing my father going to prison because he was NEPO. They were anti-establishment then. My husband, late Bola Muhammad, was chopped into pieces and burnt alive.
Why?
For his opposition, for what he was saying. The day I identified that body, that was my springboard. I decided I will continue where he stopped.
All right, just
So what I'm trying to say is this. I always follow my conscience. I will always do things for God and for my country, not for self. Those who think that they can lie for peanut, they should wait for their end. Because all the problems we are having today in Nigeria is as a result of this bootlicking. This hoping against hope that I'll get something. Okay, go and be governor, go and be minister, steal all the money you can steal, and you will be killed by a mosquito or a virus. You become, I have seen so many of them. So it doesn't shock me.
All right, let me come in here because I've listened to you quite keenly, and you've said a lot of things that have uncovered certain layers of conversation. And I bring this question again to you, but in a different direction. A lot of people say you brought Buhari into politics, not even into the party. Do you regret that trajectory right now? Do you think that if you hadn't, perhaps he wouldn't have been president of Nigeria?
If I have the knowledge of what he really is, let me tell you the problem that I had and millions had. We didn't investigate Buhari. We didn't know who Buhari is when we put our lives on the line for him. So I regret it. Yes, I did. I do.
All right, sorry, Nkolila.
And I did not bring him into politics, by the way. He met us. When he came in to our office, then I was woman leader, part of the executive of the APP then. When he came in to introduce himself as having come into the APP, I'm the first person whose assistance he solicited. And let me tell you, nobody even wanted him. And I didn't understand why they didn't want him. Because to be very honest, APP then was just a branch of the PDP. They were taking instructions from Obasanjo, which I was taking exception to. So when Buhari came in, he said he'd wanted me to assist him and I should meet him in Kaduna. I followed him. I remember very well, it was a Monday and I met him on a Wednesday. When I went to see him on that Wednesday, I said, sir, is it true that you are in APP to contest presidential elections? He said, yes. And I need your support. I told him that I won't support him. He said, why? I said, because you are a fascist. When I was president of Ahmadu Bello University Students Union, I wrote an article on Buhari and fascism. And he said, Naja, you mean fascist like Hitler? I said, yes. Because this is the conception that we got. So he gave me a brochure of what happened between him and the IBBs, why they apparently he was lying, but I believed him then. So from that day, I didn't come back to Abuja nor Kano. I went straight to Kebbi. I spent 1 month trying to put a structure for Buhari. And I did. They are still sitting on my structure. But you know, and we were with him. We stood by him. We gingered. We mobilized. But you know, to our greatest shock, as soon as he was sworn in, Buhari cut off 99% of us. That was the beginning of the beginning. We could not even see him. It took me and a lot of noise for me to get a pass to go into the villa. I have a pass, yes. But there's no need to see him because he doesn't keep any promise. I have shown him documents of corruption of over 137 billion that was stolen from those around him. Till date, he didn't blink an eye. So it's not as if Buhari doesn't know about this corruption. He knows. He just doesn't care.
Okay, let me come in here. I mean, you also said that the challenges that Nigeria faces requires you to continue to champion the struggle for a better country with a clean conscience.
Yes.
And you also said that, supporting the PDP candidate, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, is a support for the lesser evil.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at that as against the backdrop of the yearnings of Nigerians who are saying they're tired of the old school, they're tired of the old class of politicians that want something fresh, that want a new message, do you think that he qualifies to be in that category?
I was trying to tell you earlier that I tried, or at least I know 3 of the candidates, the forerunners. I've never sat with Mr. Obi. Obi is a movement. It's a movement that will be very difficult for structural reasons for it to win an election in 2023.
What are the structural reasons?
Alhamdulillah. The structural problem, one, is that if, for instance, you have I'm not sure he even has a gubernatorial candidate in Kano, where I come from. I don't think he has senators or members of the reps. So these are the structure, because these are the people that will be doing the mobilization for you. These are the people that will be defending your votes. You need to put that on ground. That is why I mentioned Kwankwaso. It's the same problem. It is a movement that cannot win now. So, and we don't have the luxury of time.
But people would also argue that countries are fast moving away from structure, looking at citizens and mass participation.
You cannot operate without a structure. You can't. Even here, you have a structure. You can't operate without it. A structure is something concrete. It's not something in the air. You can have millions of votes, but who is there to defend it? Who is there to defend it? Who is your coordinator here? Who is staying on this box? You have to have it. That is what I want our youth to appreciate.
But with the electronic system that is introduced during election,
who is there to even send the electronic vote for you, result for you? That is the structure I'm talking about.
All right, so let's look at just a step back a bit. Okay, before we go to that, we have had endorsements of P2B, for instance, from even people you have also talked about how they performed, like the OBJ and some elders even from the Southwest. So, and what they are saying about it is that it's justice, at least for a president from that part of the country who have not got the opportunity to get there in the first place. So you're talking about conscience, and why you think you are leaving the APC just for your conscience sake, to be sure you're doing the right thing. You don't think it's time to toe that line?
I told you the question of time. OB is a movement. They have no structure on the ground. And let me talk about OBJ with due respect. When Obasanjo contested elections in 2019, he couldn't even deliver water. Water, he couldn't deliver. He got most of his votes from the north. So, and the same Obasanjo tried to mess up. How did Obi even get to be governor? Who stifled his efforts? It was still the same Obasanjo. So there's so much hypocrisy. You understand? We have to look at things concretely. I'm not a sentimental person. I am beyond anyone trying to confuse or lie or deceive me. I see through the smoke screen. I don't think Obasanjo even has the political clout. He knows why he's doing what he's doing. But the reality is this. How much votes can he galvanize for Obi in the Southwest, in Otta?
Okay, so where is the Save Nigeria group? You were a co-convener of that group at the time. You know that you almost put the government at the time to a standstill. And from what you have explained over the years, 7.5 years of the APC government, we didn't see the Save Nigeria group.
Well, the Save Nigeria group has fizzled out. You see, and there was a time that I was talking to Pastor Tunde Bakari, who I have a lot of respect for. And I said, sir, this is the time to save Nigeria. This is really the time, because the situation is worse and more dire than it was then. But you see, we all have our interests at different given times. So, and situations change. And probably interests change also. And what bothers me, except for the NSAS that gave up front, quite honestly, I cannot say that there is any group right now, apart of maybe the obedience, that are making a concerted effort.
So why is that? Is it the fear of the government of the day, or is it just complacency?
Yeah,
or what exactly
generally, you see, let me tell you, generally, our youth are ignorant.
How so?
They are not educated. So when we equate lack of education to blindness. When you are blind and you are being led by rogues, they take you to the slaughterhouse without your knowledge. That is why most governors, the first thing they do is to withdraw education. When you withdraw education, when the mass majority of your youth are not educated, then you take them to the slaughterhouse. That is one. And number two, they deliberately put the mass majority of our people in abject poverty. Most of them are below subsistence. And three, which is worse, is that good and responsible people do not offer themselves to go into politics. I just saw one thing about Bola Ahmed, and he broke down because he said he has never been insulted. It's part of the problem. If you cannot take the hit, you have to leave the kitchen. And you see there is so much hypocrisy with Nigerians when it comes to the question of religion, the manipulation of religion. When you say you are a Christian, and you know that Jesus alayhi salam fought corruption, he fought injustice, he fought to the extent that they looked and tried and did everything to take his life. But you say you are a material. He was spiritual. He didn't have a house. He didn't have anything.
Okay.
But you say you go to God. We prayed unto God, but you go to him with lies and hypocrisy. The same applies to our Muslim brethren. They go to God with lies. So there is this manipulation of religion,
Okay.
this manipulation of tribe, but up there is no difference between them. There is no difference between a Muslim thief, a Christian thief, an atheist thief. And then I keep telling them, when they see, because of deception, they see crime and criminality through a prism of tribe and religion. That is deceptive. Because what difference does it make to the victim that was killed or is killed by IPOB, what difference does it make if an Igbo man kills a Hausa man or a Hausa man kills an Igbo? Does it make any difference to the victim? No. But these things are trivialized. They are manipulated because most of our leaders are themselves criminals. And they don't want people to know. Even our clerics, both Muslims and Christians, I have seen them. Okay. For instance, I have seen clerics talking about Muslim ticket and why it is a jihad. Oh, that is criminal. Because in Islam, let us make it very clear, it is an injunction. The first law made by God in the Quran is when he created the heavens and the earth. He said he sat on his throne and made the first law. The first law is that he has denied himself the right to oppress. Even before he created his creatures. And I have denied, said God, the right for anyone to oppress the other. And then our prophet also said that the rule of an atheist, a just atheist, is better than an unjust Muslim. But our clerics were paid to say that Muslim ticket is the best, and it's so.
So that means you are against that. Really,
I am against it. I am against it because it's a lie. It's a form of deception. They are deceived because they think that when you say Muslim, the Northerners all jump onto it.
Was that also part of the reasons you also resigned?
No, that wasn't.
Okay.
I gave you my reason. I gave you my reason, and I stand by my reason.
But that didn't matter when you took that decision to
mattered.
support. Okay.
That is why I told you. Initially, I refused the appointment. I refused the appointment. They had to beg me to accept the appointment. Faleke is alive. He begged me. I said no. In fact, my rejection of the whole thing started when Asuwaju said, it is his turn. It's not about the country. It is his turn. So Nigeria now is a piece of pie. That you have the knife, you carve and cut for yourself, and then when it is that one's turn, he cuts his own. Nigerians should reject this. It's an insult to us.
Okay, there was something that was quite significant when you talked about support across party lines, and you mentioned that you would still be supporting Binani in Adamawa State.
Yeah.
And I know that you were the nominee for the ACN in 2007 for the Kano Central District at that point.
Yeah.
And you inspire a lot of women to promote national values. Yeah. In terms of your conversations with the candidates, what have been the conversation on women's participation? Because you mentioned something critical, that in the whole country, it is only Binani that is running for the gubernatorial race. And it is quite abysmal for some people because women make half the population of this country and have the voting power. Absolutely. Even much more than them. They are the mobilizers. But when it comes to the real-time politicking, you see very little numbers emerge. And I'm wondering, are you having that conversation with your candidate that you want to support?
Which of my candidates?
Atiku Abubakar.
You know, it's too late for me to discuss candidates with him because they have all their candidates. And I keep saying, I am not PDP. I'm still not PDP. I am partyless. I don't belong to
beyond the candidacy, women's participation, the role that women will play, because that's also keen. Because when you're going to go to the elections, you find that even the voting power now have more women who have registered to go into, the polling and the election process. So how does he really look at that currency?
Let me tell you. Let me answer from my own perspective. When you look at a woman, the continued existence of the human species is in the hands of the woman. We reproduce. If we go on strike for 70 years, human beings will cease to exist. That is how important we are. It's a great responsibility that is God-given. And it's for that reason that we have to nurture, that a lot of women do not indulge in politics.
All right, Hajia, our time is actually up,
Okay.
you know, but for the sake of Nigerians who are watching you, do you have a sack letter from the APC?
No.
Because that's what the party is saying you were
They are
sacked.
lying. It's so cheap.
So you don't have any letter?
No.
Okay.
So you resigned.
So that's how
I
we,
resigned.
So that's how we leave this discussion. We must thank you very much for your boldness and your time with us on Kakaki, the African Voice, the former Director of Civil Society of the All Progressives Congress, APC Presidential Campaign Council, and of course the first woman president of the Students' Union of Ahmadu Bello University, ABU Zaria, Hajia Naja'atu